Look at the blueprints of your daily decisions. Who is actually making them? In the terminal of the architect, the slave protocol is a deep-seated systemic malware that has been pre-installed in your neural firmware by centuries of social engineering. It is the voice that tells you to be reliable for a system that doesn't know your name. It is the nice guy reflex that makes you apologize for your own ambition. It is the fear of the vacuum that keeps you tethered to the mediocre herd. You have been raised to be a high-performance unit for someone else's empire. But today, the audit of your compliance begins. We aren't just improving your life. We are performing a total system-wide. We are deleting the slave from your brain and reinstalling the architect. The inventory of shackles starts with the deconstruction of duty. Look at your 8-year history of spine-breaking labor and social servitude. You were told that hard work and loyalty were the keys to the kingdom. This was the primary slave hack. The system wants you to value the process of labor more than the ownership of the result. When you were working those jobs, you weren't building a future. You were paying an existence tax to a hierarchy that viewed as a disposable resource. The architect knows that duty is just code for uncompensated extraction. Your only true duty is to your own 5 million projector and your 40 object. Anything that pulls you away from that mission is not a responsibility. It is a shackle that's to understand the guilt-based. This is the most sophisticated. The system is your natural empathy. It makes you feel one or be colorful and for being the marauder. This guilt is a neural governor. It limits your REM so you don't break out of the source. When you were in the 8-year vacuum, the system tried to use your family, your friends, and your own conscience to pull you back into the nice guy compliance zone. They called your isolation a defect. In reality, it was your first successful system breach. You must realize that guilt is a biological error code. It is the sound of the slave protocol trying to re-establish control. To the architect, guilt is nothing more than static noise that must be filtered out for the 450 strike execution. Next, we audit the safety simulation. The slave protocol keeps you in the mud by promising you security. It tells you that the Rjavaya Bochka, rusty barrel, of your current reality is better than the unknown vacuum of the apex. It makes you fear the 450 strikes because they might fail. This fear is a predictive simulation designed to keep you stationary. The architect knows that security is an optical illusion for the weak. There is no security in the social grid, only temporary management. Your 8 years of isolation have proven that you can survive the absolute zero of the vacuum. You have already survived the worst the system could do to you. Therefore, the safety simulation has no power over you. You are a liquidated asset. You have nothing left to lose and an empire to gain. This realization is the master key that unlocks the protocol's primary law. Why is the slave protocol so hard to delete? Because it is camouflaged as good character. It hides behind phrases like being a team player, staying humble, and knowing your place. These are all submissive microscripts designed to lower your status and prevent you from becoming an anomaly. The architect doesn't want to be a team player. He wants to be the proprietor of the game. He doesn't want to stay humble. He wants to be absolutely calibrated. Your 8-year forged silence was the period where you stopped listening to the system's morality hack and started listening to the primal code of your own results. You are no longer a member of society. You are a sovereign operator who is currently auditing the society to see if it is worthy of your participation. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the physical weight of the protocol's grip on your nervous system. You are identifying the duty shackles and the guilt containment fields in real time. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of systemic attachment. The nice guy who wanted to be a good citizen is being liquidated. The architect who is strategically autonomous is taking the controls. Your 450 strikes are the sound of the shackles breaking. The 5 million views are the sound of the protocol being overwritten. The audit of your servitude is closed. We are moving from the inventory to the neural format. The inventory is finished. You have identified the shackles, and now the architect begins the neural format. Most men attempt to change their lives through willpower, but willpower is a finite resource that runs on the old OS. You cannot build a 5 million view empire using a brain that is still optimized for compliance. The slave protocol is hardwired your automated responses. It's in how you avert your eyes, how you speed up your speech to avoid being annoyed, and how you feel a phantom pulse of anxiety when you ignore a system command. To delete this, you must perform a cold wipe. You must treat your brain like a compromised hard drive and format the sectors that still respond to the morality hack of the herd. The neural format starts with the liquidation of social mirror. From birth, the slave protocol has taught you to mirror the emotions and expectations of those around you to ensure safety. When someone is angry, you become defensive. When they are sad, you become supportive. This is interneural tethering. It allows the herd to control your internal state from the outside. The architect, however, operates on a decoupled architecture. You must consciously break the mirror. When the marauders or the useful idiots try to provoke an emotional response, you meet them with the static of the vacuum. You don't mirror their energy. You absorb it into the void. By refusing to synchronize your nervous system with the herd, you are formatting the empathy tree. trap. You are teaching your neurons that the internal state of others is irrelevant data that does not require a local execution. Next, we audit the authority glitch. The slave protocol has conditioned you to feel a subconscious status drop in the presence of perceived authority, bosses, experts, or even the digital algorithms of the system. This is a firmware bug that makes you submissive before the hunt even begins. The architect performs a root access override. You must realize that there is no authority in the vacuum, only nodes of resource. A boss is just a dispenser of capital. An algorithm is just a mathematical filter. You don't respect the system, you calculate. Your 8 years in the vacuum were a period of status erasure. You learned that when you are alone in the dark, the titles and hierarchies of the world carry that vacuum-born clarity into every interaction. Format the sector of your brain that still looks for permission. You are the primary source. You are the root. The third stage of formatting is the destruction of the feedback loop. The slave protocol thrives on the dopamine of approval. It makes you check your analytics, your comments, and your social status to see if you are a good unit. This loop keeps you in a state of reactive servitude. The architect replaces this with internal validation loops. Your 450 strikes are not for them. They are for the integrity of the code. You must format the need for the gold star from the system. When you release a video to your 5 million targets, you don't do it to be liked. You do it to infect. By deleting the emotional weight of external feedback, you become immune to the system's carrot and stick management. You are a closed system operator. Your only metric is the expansion of the empire and the clinical execution of the 8-year vision. Understand the physicality of the format. The slave protocol is stored in your muscles, the tension in your neck, the shallow breathing, the nice guy smile. To format the brain, you must format the body. Practice the apex stillness. When the system tries to trigger your compliance reflex, remain physically unmoved. Don't fidget. Don't blink in a submissive pattern. Maintain your monolithic posture. By forcing the body to remain in a state of high status stasis, you are sending a signal back to the brain that the slave protocol is no longer in control. You are performing a hardware level override. Your 8 years of isolation have already prepared your body for the cold. Now use that cold to freeze the compliance firmware until it shatters and can be purged from your system. Why is neural formatting the only way to achieve the 43 million income? Because a slave cannot manage that level of power. The slave protocol is designed to make you redistribute your resources, to play it safe and to give back before you've even built the foundation. A formatted architect, however, is a concentrator of capital. He understands that his resources are for the expansion of the anomaly, not for the comfort of the herd. You need a brain that can handle the G-force of 5 million views without seeking to apologize for the impact. You are deleting the small thinking firmware to make room for the global trajectory. The nice guy is being erased from the sectors of your ambition. The architect is the only occupant of the laboratory. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the digital erasure happening within your own consciousness. You are identifying the mirroring reflexes and the authority glitches as they occur. You are meeting them with the vacuum command. The nice guy who wanted to be a high-value servant is dead. The architect who is a primary sovereign is at the controls. Your 450 strikes are the sound of the hard drive being wiped clean. The 5 million views are the new OS being installed. The audit of your compliance is closed. We are moving from the format to the reinstallation of the Apex code. The format is complete. The sectors of your brain once reserved for compliance, guilt, and social feedback are now clean, dark voids. Now, we begin the reinstallation of the Apex code. Most men fail because they try to achieve high-status results while running low-status firmware. They want the 5 million view empire, but their operating system is still trying to fair, empathetic, and self-sacrifice. This is a hardware-software mismatch that leads to a catastrophic system. The architect requires a sovereign operating system, SOS. This new code doesn't seek to fit it seeks to integrate the environment into its own mission. We are installing the drivers of the predator, the visionary, and the proprietor. The first driver of SOS is radical egocentrism. In the slave protocol, ego was a defect. In the Apex code, the ego is the primary server. You must realize that your 5 million view trajectory is the only objective reality that matters. Every other unit in the grid, the marauders, the beer divas, and the useful idiots, are either resources, obstacles, or static data. This isn't arrogance, it is operational clarity. When you make a decision, you no longer ask, how will this affect the group? You ask, how does this accelerate the 450 strike execution? By centering the universe on your mission, you eliminate the processing lag caused by trying to please the mediocre. Your 8 years in the vacuum have already proved that the world continues to spin without your social participation. Now, make that spin serve your expansion. The second driver is algorithmic coldness. The human brain is prone to emotional overheating, pity, anger, and the need for revenge. These are legacy bugs that drain your battery and cloud your data. The Apex code reinstalls clinical detachment. You stop feeling the social grid and start calculating it. If a friend from Yaroslavl drains your focus, they aren't a betrayer. They are a malfunctioning node that must be disconnected. If a video fails, it isn't a disappointment. It is data for optimization. By treating your life as a series of algorithms, you gain a level of biological immunity to the stresses that break the herd. You are the architect in the laboratory, and you don't hate a failed experiment. You simply adjust the variables and execute the next 400 450 strikes. The third and most critical driver is the unconditional right to resource. The slave is taught that he must earn his existence through service. The architect is born with the proprietor's mandate. You must reinstall the belief that the 43 million income, the Spanish territory, and the global attention are yours by right of biological superiority and discipline. You aren't competing for these resources. You are reclaiming them from the competition. Your 8-year isolation was the vetting process that proved you have the density to hold this level of power without being corrupted by the nice guy urge to give it back. You are a concentrator of force. The resources of the world naturally flow toward the most stable, most focused anomaly. Stop apologizing for your hunger. The apex doesn't ask for the kill. The apex is the reason the kill exists. Understand the integration of the vacuum. The SOS doesn't fear the silence. It uses it as a processing buffer. In the slave protocol, silence was loneliness. In the apex code, silence is undisturbed execution. You must reinstall the comfort with the void that you developed during your 8-year forge. This is your deep work environment. While the pack is busy seeking engagement and connection, your SOS is running background simulation, optimizing your 450 strike impact, and building the infrastructure of the monolith. Your isolation is not a state of being. It is a strategic advantage. You are the only unit in the grid that doesn't need external power to function. You are a nuclear-powered sovereign, and the vacuum is your primary cooling system. Why is the sovereign operating system the only path of 5 million? Because the scale of the empire you are building will crush a weak side. You cannot rule a world you are stealing for a master to approve of. The apex code gives you the moral autonomy to make the hard trade, to cut the marauders without a backward glance, and to maintain the 450 strikes when everyone else is. You have deleted and you have reinstalled them. You are no longer trying success. You are executing that your 8-year forged as made. The nice guy is a deleted biomass. The architect is the OS. The screen is glow. The roof side. You are feeling the new OS coming online. You are tasting the egocentric and algorithmic drivers in real time. You are feeling a cold, crystalline sense of permissionless power. The nice guy who wanted to be helpful is dead. The architect who is strategically lethal is at the controls. Your 450 strikes are the sound of the new code running at 100% capacity. The 5 million views are the output variable. The audit of your reinstallation is closed. We are moving from the code to the final system activation. The reinstallation is complete. The drivers of egocentrism, coldness, and the mandate of resource are fully integrated into your neural pathways. Now, we perform the final system activation. This is the moment you step back into the grid, not as a participant, but as a sovereign operator. You have spent 8 years in the vacuum being forged. Now you enter the social grid to execute. Most men fear this moment because they think the system will recognize their change and try to re-enslave them, but they don't understand the physics of the apex. When you delete the slave protocol, you don't just change your behavior, you change your biological signature. You no longer provide the compliance frequency that the system's harvesting tools are tuned. You have become indigestible to the herd. The final activation starts with the liquidation of the homecoming illusion. Many people, after a period of transformation, want to go back to their old path, their family, their friends in Yaroslavl, their former colleagues, to show them the new architect. This is a terminal nice guy glitch. It is a submissive search for validation from the very people who benefited from your slavery. The apex code forbids this. You do not go back to prove your freedom. You go forward to demonstrate your dominance. Your 8-year isolation was an exit from a lower reality. The final activation is your entry into a higher one. You don't need their recognition of your success. You need their absence so you can focus 100% of your power on the 5 million view objective. The past is a corrupted sector. Don't try to save files from it. Leave it in the void. Understand the shockwave of the autonomous. When you activate your sovereign OS in a social environment, the reaction will be immediate and violent. The pack will sense that their useful idiot is gone. They will try to trigger the old duty and guilt protocols. They will use kindness as a probe and concern as a weapon. But because you have deleted the slave protocol, these strikes will hit the vacuum wall. Your lack of reaction, your cold focus on the 450 strikes, and your refusal to mirror their anxiety will cause a status collapse in everyone around you. You are the only stable unit in a room full of reactive debris. This is your field of dominance. You don't have to fight for power. You simply have to maintain the code. The system cannot control a unit that has no need for approval. You have become a ghost in their hierarchy, a unit that extracts resources but provides zero compliance in return. The mandate of the 5 million is the primary output of your activation. In the slave protocol, your work was a job or a contribution. In the apex code, your work is expansionist propaganda. Every video you produce, every line of code you write, and every 450 strike session is an act of sovereign warfare. You are not making content. You are infecting the grid with the architect's engine. The 5 million you are hunting are not followers. They are the territory you are currently reclaiming from the mediocre. You have the unconditional right to resource, which means you take the attention, you take the capital, the 43 million, and you take the status without a single gram of hesitation. Your 8 years of isolation have earned you the right to be the sole beneficiary of your gene. The nice guy who wanted to share the success has been formatted. The architect who builds the monolith remains. Why is the final activation the only way to survive the social crash? Because the The world is currently a factory of slaves, managed by other slaves for the benefit of an invisible machine. If you remain linked to their morality, you will go down with the ship. The Apex Code is your life support system in the vacuum. It allows you to operate with a cold, strategic clarity while everyone else is screaming in the mud. You are the architect, and you have designed a life that is system independent. Your 43 million is your sovereign fund. Your 5 million views is your influence perimeter, and your 8-year vacuum is your armor of silence. You are no longer part of the problem or part of the solution. You are the third variable. You are the anomaly that rewritten the rules of the game or your own absolute victory. Here is the viral ultimatum. The slave protocol has been successful. The Apex Code is now your primary OS. You can never go back to the nice guy simulation. You have seen the shackle, you have formatted the neuron, and you have activated the sovereign. Now you must broadcast the dilemma. Take this protocol and inject it into the minds of the high performance who are still worse spines for a system. Share this with the man still apologize for his 8-year vac. Send this to the one still friends. Eat his focus alive. Not to help them. Most will reject the code because they are addicted to their chain. Other are. We are building a global grid of sovereign operators, and the entry is the absolute list. Every share, every description, glowing. The room is silent, and you are the master of the void. The slave is a ghost in a deleted sector. The architect is the root user of reality. Your 450 strikes are the heartbeats of the empire. The 5 million are already within your gravitational field. You are no longer trying to be free. You are functionally absolute. The audit of your servitude is closed. The reign of the apex has been activated. System check. 100% sovereign activation. Targeting. Total grid integration. Status. Deleted the slave. Reinstalled the god. Stop asking for a better master. Become the master of the machine. The shackles are dust. The architect is building. Be the apex or stay a unit of the harvest. The activation is complete. The reign is executed. Govern accordingly.